بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله وسلم عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادة فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة أصلها كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس لعلهم يتذكرون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. When a PhD thesis is written, it requires to be defended. A student who wishes to receive his PhD might work for years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, depending on where he resides and which university he decides or she decides on getting their PhD from. The PhD thesis has to be defended. It has to be critiqued in order for the student to receive the degree. Do they think that as long as they write a thesis and they say that we wrote a thesis on politics, on medicine, on math, on physics, on chemistry, on biology, and they receive the degree without the thesis being defended, without a board of supervisors, of educators, of professors reading the thesis, checking its facts to see, does it check out, does it not check out? Are the arguments sound? Do they make sense? Are they backed up by proof and evidence? After the thesis is thoroughly critiqued, does a student pass the defense and they receive their PhD thesis? Hence, there are academic conferences. The purpose of academic conferences is that PhD students, those who are working on a dissertation, on a thesis, on a theory, on something that an idea that they've been working on for years, for them to come and expose these ideas, expose these views. Why? To boast and be proud of what they have written? No, so that these ideas and principles, what they are writing, so that it may be critiqued, so that they tell their peers, and their classmates and those who are also writing PhD theses, they tell them, listen, this is what I've written, give me your feedback. I want to know what you think. I want you to come and contest what I've said. What I've said, does it make sense or does it not make sense? Is it sound or is it not sound? I want your judgment. And this is the role of academic conferences. This is why academic conferences are extremely important. In the academic world, my dear friends, there is also something called peer-reviewed journals. Why peer-reviewed journals? I could write an article and have it published in any journal, in any magazine, in any journal, and khalas, for people to read what I've written, what I've worked on. But no. These articles have to be peer-reviewed, meaning someone who's my peer, my colleague, and by the way, peer-reviewed journals, usually they don't read the names, so that you can critique the article objectively. Because if you know this is a cousin, a friend, a classmate, that might affect your way of reading that article. No, peer-reviewed articles, you usually don't see the name, but you see what is being said. Not who is saying it, but what is being said. And you peer review the article and you put in your insight. That is why peer-reviewed articles have more of a value than articles that are not peer-reviewed. Why? Because they have been criticized. They have been critiqued. The weaknesses and the strength have been pointed out. That this article contains strong points, or it contains weaknesses and it needs to be fixed. Hence, this has value. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This idea, my dear friends, of critiquing one's views, one's opinions, this exists in the Hawza as well. In the Islamic seminar, this exists. How? In the Hawza, we believe that every teacher has to be critiqued by his students. And from the generation of those students, obviously there will be a group of scholars that will emerge. Those scholars too will also be critiqued by their own students, and so on and so forth. So every generation critiques, and when I say critique, we will explain what is it to critique. To criticize, and to be sarcastic, and to ridicule, or to constructively criticize. To critique positively and not negatively. There are two ways to critique. There are two ways. And Hawza, we also believe in critiquing. For example, we see a Shaykh Al-Ansari, rahmatullah alayh. Shaykh Al-Ansari is a profound scholar whom has influenced the science of usul al-fiqh drastically. Today we live on the achievements of a Shaykh Al-Ansari. Shaykh Al-Ansari would critique his teacher, Sahib al-Jawahir. And then a Shaykh Al-Ansari, his student, Al-Akhund Al-Khurasani, came and critiqued his theories and views. You will see that Al-Akhund Al-Khurasani, his book, his thesis on usul al-fiqh called Kifayat al-Usul, it is basically a commentary on the achievements of Shaykh Al-Ansari. Al-Akhund Al-Khurasani, he himself had students like Agha ad-Din al-Iraqi, like Al-Muhaqqiq al-Asfahani, like Al-Mirza al-Na'ini. These three scholars and others, but these three, they were the main students of Al-Akhund Al-Khurasani. They came and they critiqued the theories and opinions of Al-Akhund Al-Khurasani. And then these three scholars, their students came and critiqued their views. Most notably, Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khoi. Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khoi is a product of these three scholars. He came and he critiqued their views. After Sayyid al-Khoi, other scholars came and critiqued the views of Sayyid al-Khoi, namely Shaheed Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, who came and he renewed many of the views in usul al-fiqh, in fiqh, in rijal. And of course, Sayyid al-Sistani, hafidhahullah. Sayyid al-Sistani is very notable, is very prominent in usul al-fiqh and in rijal. He came and he contested many of the views of Sayyid al-Khoi and rijal and usul al-fiqh, and so on and so forth. This is how it works. This is how any science develops. A science develops when someone says a theory and it is never critiqued. You're not allowed to state your opinion or view regarding this view. If this is the case, if we're quiet and we do not critique a view or opinion, that science will never develop. It won't develop. The only way it develops is that if later scholars, later jurists, later scientists, mathematicians, they come and review, reanalyze, analyze, reinterpret the previous theories. That is how mathematics develops, physics, biology, chemistry, fiqh, usul, rijal, tafsir. It is based on constructive criticism. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let me give you an example. The theory of wilayat al-faqih. Wilayat al-faqih is not a new theory. This is a theory that existed before. One of the proponents of wilayat al-faqih, for example, was al-Naraqi, the author of Mustanad al-Shia. It's a very old theory. Sahib al-Jawahir, about 200 years ago, 250 years ago, they believed in wilayat al-faqih. Now, this theory, obviously, it was promoted by Sayyid al-Khomeini, Ayatollah al-Khomeini, in the past several decades. However, was this theory accepted by all jurists? No. There were some jurists that accepted wilayat al-faqih, others rejected. And by the way, wilayat al-faqih literally means the authority of a jurist. All scholars believe in the authority of a jurist. The disagreement is on how vast the authority is. For example, Sayyid al-Khoi, he also believes in wilayat al-faqih, but he believes in wilayat al-faqih in monetary issues. When it comes to al-umur al-hasbiyah, for example, orphans, who is responsible over their wealth and money? It is the jurist. A person who dies and leaves no heirs, who is in charge of his wealth? The jurist, and so on and so forth. Al-awqaf, for al-atabat, for example, who is in charge of al-atabat? The jurist. And there are other jurists, like Sayyid al-Khomeini, who believe that the authority of a jurist is exactly like the authority of an imam, an infallible imam. There's a disagreement. This theory of wilayat al-faqih, because it was criticized, it was critiqued rather, it was critiqued positively, it gave way to other theories in the field of political Islam. For example, Ayatollah Shirazi developed the theory of shura al-fuqaha. Instead of having one jurist in authority, there should be several jurists in authority. Ayatollah Shamsuddin developed the theory of wilayatul ummah ala nafsiha, the authority of the ummah over itself. The authority of the ummah over itself. And it gave way and room to several political Islamic theories. Why? Because there is room for critique. If there was no room for critique in Islam, we would be left with one theory. We'd only be left with one theory. But there is room for critique. And this is why we see tens, if not hundreds, of examples of in the Islamic seminary where a scholar, prominent scholar, he could be a very respected scholar, but he had an opinion that was contested. It was not accepted by all. Maybe it was even rejected by all. For example, Ibn Qiba al-Razi, he was known for a very problematic discussion in usul al-fiqh. I will not get into it now because it's very detailed. This theory by Ibn Qiba al-Razi, this problem that he posed in usul al-fiqh, it gave room for the enhancement of usul al-fiqh. Sometimes you see a problem, someone poses a problem, someone poses a question, an objection, and immediately we raise red flags. This is blasphemy, this is heresy, why is this person saying? But you know, this question, it gives room for tens of other scholars to come and give thorough answers. I remember several years ago, Dr. Abdul Karim Surush in Iran, about a decade ago, he came and he said that the Quran is the word of Rasulullah. It is not the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, of course, this is blasphemous. This is heresy. We believe that the Quran is the word of Allah Azza wa Jal as revealed to Rasulullah. Now, some were very offended, as they should be. They were offended, and while others, they said, you know what, instead of getting angry, let's write articles and refuting Dr. Surush. And here we see tens of articles and several books that were written in refutation of Dr. Surush. Today, anyone that has this view, there's tens of articles. Previously, 10 years ago, there were no articles on the topic. Today, there's tens of articles. Why? Because it was critiqued. Because we have room for constructive criticism in Islam. My dear friends, knowing that there is criticism makes us careful. Today, I'm sitting on the minbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I know that you have the right to criticize me, you will come after the lecture and criticize me, that will make me careful. I have to be very careful. What do I say? How do I say it? What proof and evidence will I bring? What are my claims? And how do I back it up? It will make me careful. It will make me think twice. And this is something positive about criticism. Constructive criticism, my dear friends, can be seen as ihda al-uyub. When someone comes and criticizes me for something that I say, for a book that I wrote, for an article that I wrote, for an opinion, a theory that I put out there, someone comes and criticizes me, I should be happy because this is ihda al-uyub. You are giving me my shortcomings and my weaknesses, but privately. In Islam we believe that if you show to your believing brothers and sisters their weaknesses in public, you're insulting them. But if it's in private, you're doing justice to them. Doing justice to them. There's nothing wrong with it. You can be critical of someone's views, opinions, actions, behavior, whether it's regarding their business or an academic view, or it is their approach in the community. Maybe they are leaders in the community. Maybe they are directing the Islamic Center. But if you constructively criticize them, there's nothing wrong with that. Al-mu'min mir'atul mu'min. A believer is a mirror for another believer. Some of us, we stand behind the mirror for several minutes a day. And why? What is the purpose of the mirror? To show us our blemishes. If I need to fix my beard, I need to fix my hair, I need to fix my glasses, I need to fix my clothing. How do we do that? Through mirrors. We stand in front of the mirror and I can tell if I'm dressed properly, if I've shaved properly, if my hair is proper. A mirror does not leave weaknesses for me because it tells me what I look like and what I need to improve in my looks. This is how a mu'min is. A mu'min for another mu'min is a mirror. A mu'min fixes the weaknesses and shortcomings of another mu'min. He tells him, this is how you are. Not specifically in looks, not in physical appearance, but a mu'min is a mirror for another mu'min and his views and his opinions and his akhlaq and his behavior. He tells him that these are things that you need to fix. These are your shortcomings. This is the behavior that you need to change. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Constructive criticism, my dear friends, causes us to improve. If you have a business and you want your business to flourish, to boom, how? By people criticizing you, giving you feedback, telling you that this business is doing well or not doing well. This merchandise that you're selling, is it good, is it not good? Can it be enhanced, can it not be? How? How can you improve? Through criticism, through being critiqued. That is the way that we improve and develop and do better as human beings, as businesses, as groups, as mosques, as speakers, as doctors, as engineers. There's no need to despise constructive criticism. There are some people they despise. They don't want to hear any criticism. They only want people to clap for them. They want a standing ovation and people to, always praise them. No. The Quran says, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Perhaps you may hate or despise something, but it is good for you. It is good for you. My mother, when I was young, she had a saying. She would always say it. And this is a saying in Iraq. It's an Iraqi expression. She would say, امشي ورا اللي يبكيك لا تمشي ورا اللي يضحكك. Walk after the one that makes you cry, not the one that makes you laugh. Meaning what? Don't look for flattery. People that will praise you all the time. Don't think someone that praises you all the time is doing you justice. No. Sometimes walk behind the one that makes you cry. Someone that tells you the truth. Someone that tells you as it is. They tell you that you've done this and you've done it wrong and that you need to correct yourself. This is the point. Others, they enjoy constructive criticism. Why? Because it helps them improve, grow, develop. They welcome criticism. There are others that view criticism as animosity. This person is criticizing my leadership, criticizing the way I run the mosque, I run the Husseiniya, or I run this business. This person is my enemy. This person's jealous of me. This person's envious of me. That is why they're criticizing me. They criticize the way I teach, the way I play, the way I do things, the way I cook. That means they're my enemies. That means they're envious. That means they're jealous. No, my dear friends. Or they're exposing my weaknesses, they're exposing my faults. No. Just because a person critiques you, it doesn't mean that they're envious or they're jealous. Some teachers, I remember back when I was in college, back in the dinosaur age, when I was in college, I remember some teachers, some professors, they had surveys. At the end of a class, they'd have a survey. They'd ask students to tell them, without mentioning names, without writing your name, they would ask students to give them feedback. How was my teaching style? The books that I used, the articles that I made you read, the exams, the midterm, the final exam. Was it good? Was it not good? Give me your opinion. There are some people that look for feedback. They want to be critiqued. They look for constructive criticism. This is positive. This is positive. There are some businesses that do so. Have you seen some businesses when you go, they tell you, can you take a minute to take this survey? And of course, none of us have that minute to take that survey. All it takes is a minute or two. Why? Because it helps them improve. They want to see, are they satisfying their customers or are they dissatisfying their customers? This is important. There are some people that look, and there are some people that shy away from criticism. They hate criticism. My dear friends, we need to learn to accept constructive criticism. On a personal level, maybe a spouse, your wife gives you criticism, critiques you as a husband, or as a wife. You give your wife criticism as a wife. How is she as a mother? How is she as a wife? Or on a family level, on a social level, on a community level, our Islamic centers, we need to be open to criticism. How did we do this Muharram? The past 10 nights, the speakers that we brought, the reciters that we brought, were you satisfied? Was the community satisfied? We need to be open to criticism. Our organizations, our charity organizations, let's be open to constructive criticism. If someone has an opinion, if someone has something to say, let us welcome them with opening arms, with welcoming arms. We should not turn away people that criticize us and only welcome those who have flattery to say or something to praise us. No, this is a mistake. You see, my dear friends, we are not infallible. I am not infallible. I am a fallible person. I'm a sinner. I may commit sins. I may commit mistakes. And the problem is that we do not see our own mistakes. We as human beings, we only notice other people's mistakes. We don't notice our own mistakes. We only notice the good in us. We don't notice the bad in us. The poem in Arabic says, وَعَيْنُ الرِّضَى عَنْ كُلِّ عَيْنٍ كَلِيلَةٌ. If you are satisfied with someone, you don't see their mistakes. That is why we don't see the mistakes of our children. Others see the mistakes of our children. It's as if we're blindsided. We're blinded. Our children, ourselves, whoever you love, you don't see their mistakes. You only see the good. You don't see the bad. But God forbid if we hate someone. If we hate someone, all we see is the bad. We never see the good in anyone that we hate. وَعَيْنُ السِّخْطِ وَعَيْنُ الرِّضَى عَنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ كَلِيلَةٌ وَعَيْنُ السِّخْطِ تُبْدِي الْمَسَاوِيَ. If we hate someone, all we could see is the bad in them. And this is human nature, my dear friends. This is how we are as human beings. So if I cannot see the bad in myself, I need others to tell me. If I only see the good, I need someone to wake me up and tell me, Sayyid, you have mistakes. You have errors. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, you have mistakes. We need to tell you your mistakes. This is something positive. This is not something negative. Yes, some people take advantage of it. Some people misuse constructive criticism. They become harsh. They become aggressive. They make it personal. But just because some people take advantage of it, it doesn't mean that constructive criticism is something negative. It remains to be positive. It remains to be something important, something that we need. From the government, on a government scale to the individual scale. From governments, presidents, Congress, ministers, they need to be criticized. They need to be judged according to what they've achieved. Or coming down to a lower scale. This is something important. The motive, my dear friends, if you critique, the motive should be to improve someone's behavior. That should be your motive. When I come and I critique a speaker or a scholar, my objective is not to hurt him or her. It is not to disrespect them, but rather I want this person to improve. I want what is best for them. This is why I give them constructive criticism, so that they improve, so that they may do better next time. Not out of jealousy or envy or hatred or to hurt them. No, out of compassion. Out of compassion. That is why constructive criticism and not criticism that hurts. No, constructive criticism, it shows love. It shows respect. Someone who comes and gives me constructive criticism, I know that this person cares about me. This person loves me. That this person wants me to do better, to enhance. Because we as human beings, we could always do better. Wherever you are, as a doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, as a speaker, as the president of a jama'ah, as the imam of a masjid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us capabilities. We can do better. We can always improve. There's always room for improvement. So when we receive that criticism, we can do better. This person, I shouldn't say this person criticized me, so he hates me. He's jealous of me. He's envious of me. No. On the contrary, he loves me. He cares about me. He wants what is good for me. Let me tell you the story. وَصَلَّ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. A contemporary scholar today in Qom, Ayatollah Sayyid al-Shubayri al-Zanjani. He's a very well-established scholar. He's in his 90s, heavily respected by all scholars in Najaf and in Qom. In his memoirs, he says that after the revolution in Iran in the 80s, of course, Sayyid al-Khomeini came and there was a successful revolution in Iran. He says, when I taught Bahth al-Kharij in Qom, you know, when you teach Bahth al-Kharij on that scale, you critique the theories of prominent scholars, prominent jurists. In fiqh, you critique the most important theories in fiqh. In usul, you critique the most important theories in usul, in rijal, and so on and so forth. So he says that in my Bahth al-Kharij in fiqh, I would critique the opinions of Sayyid al-Khomeini. I would bring his views, I would read his books, I would bring his views and opinions, and I would critique them. When you critique a scholar in Hawza, it means that you see them in a high place. This person is worthy of being discussed. Correct? There's no envy or jealousy. When you mention a scholar's name in your class, this means that you hold them in high esteem. He said, but there were some students of mine, they were offended. Why are you critiquing Sayyid al-Khomeini? This is very disrespectful. This is offensive. I told him, no, you've misunderstood me. You've misunderstood. The same way that I critique, for example, the opinions of Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khoi. I critique the opinions of Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khomeini. What is the difference? In fact, when I mention his views in class and I critique them, that means I hold him in high esteem. I believe that his opinions are worthy of being discussed, of being analyzed, of being interpreted. He said, no, After several days, I would mention Sayyid al-Khomeini in my class and I would critique his opinions. Again, they were offended. They were offended several times, and each time they would tell us, no, you are disrespecting Sayyid al-Khomeini. No, I am not disrespecting the Sayyid. On the contrary, when I critique his theory, it shows my respect for the Sayyid, that I am spending a week or so in my class to critique it. He said, at the end, I gave up and I stopped mentioning Sayyid al-Khomeini in my class. I stopped bringing his theories because there were some students, they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They thought I was being offensive, while it is the truth is completely on the contrary. I meant no disrespect. I meant no offense. It is out of love and respect for these scholars that I mention them in my class and I critique their theories. My dear friends, flattery, a lot of people look for flattery and praise, but this is wrong. We all enjoy praise. We all enjoy flattery. Someone to tell us what a good job as a doctor, as an engineer, as a lawyer, as a soccer player, as a football player. We want people to praise us, but this is wrong. Flattery won't get us anywhere. And unfortunately, there are some people that are hypocrites. They only flatter you. They only praise you. In front of you, in your face, they praise you, but they go and they criticize you behind your back. This is hypocrisy. This is nifaq. This is nifaq. There are some people, they come and they tell me, Sayyid, what a wonderful speech. That was an amazing speech. Tell them, thank you. But tell me what you really think. Tell me your honest opinion. Don't say this to please me or praise me. I want your honest opinion. If you want me to improve, as a speaker, as a scholar, I need an honest opinion. Of course, be nice when you say it. Don't be too harsh, but say it as it is. Say the truth. Say the truth. Unfortunately, there are some people, they have hypocritical tendencies. How? They will go and criticize you behind your back. They will go to a session, people's homes, and they say, that speaker was awful. The topic was awful. He has a horrible voice. He spoke for 2 hours. He wasted our time. طيب. Fine. You want to criticize? That's fine. But go tell him in his face. Don't go behind his back. Why do you go behind his back? First of all, this is hypocrisy. This is ghibah. You're backbiting. Instead, go to his face and tell him, sit down with him, tell him, Maulana, these are your good points, but you also have bad points. Today you spoke too long. Or the topic was not relevant. Or, you tell him in his face. You don't need to go and do it behind his back. Also, my dear friends, a lot of us, when we criticize, for example, a certain behavior, or we criticize a leadership, or an administration, or an idea, an opinion, sometimes we make it personal. We make it personal. If I don't like the way that this gentleman is running the mosque, I will make it personal. I will say that he's a horrible leader. Why? Why make it personal? Say that this gentleman, he could have done things better. His leadership can improve. Why do you attack him personally? Why do you attack his character? Why do you attack his personality? Unfortunately, we do this time and time again. Instead of criticizing the theory, we criticize the theorist. Say this opinion doesn't make sense. This view has flaws. Why do you come and attack the scholar? You say this scholar is uneducated. This scholar is a deviant. This scholar has not set foot in Hawza. No. Come and take his opinion and dissect it. Come and say that these are the flaws in this view, in this opinion, in this thing. Why make it personal? Unfortunately, time and time again, when we disagree, we make it personal. No, there's no reason to make it personal. There's no reason. There's no justification in making it personal. If you have a problem with a policymaker, criticize his policy, not the policymaker. Not his character, not his personality. Come and discuss his policies. His policies need reform. His policies need to be changed. This is very important. Also, my dear friends, We need to be welcoming of criticism. As governments, the government, any government, should be welcoming of criticism, should provide a safe atmosphere for constructive criticism, for the press, for the clergy, for the religious establishment, religious organizations, non-religious organizations. You want to criticize me? Go ahead. Go ahead. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, while he was the Khalifa, the Khawarij would stand outside and they would criticize him. They would criticize him. In fact, they would call him a kafir. Did he raise arms? Did you hear of Khawarij being imprisoned at the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen? On the contrary, the Ghulat who claimed that Amir al-Mu'mineen was God, he punished them. But those who claimed that he was a kafir, he did not punish them. He did not punish them because this was blasphemous. This was kufr, calling Ali ibn Abi Talib. And I gave a lecture during Muharram on ghulu. Calling him God, this was blasphemous. This was kufr. But calling him a kafir, like Khawarij, go, you could call me a kafir. Amir al-Mu'mineen did not punish the Khawarij until they formed an army. They raised an army and decided to fight him. Then he fought them. It was at that time. Otherwise, there was freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of press during the days of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And this is what we need to practice today. Freedom. You want to criticize me? You can criticize me. As long as you follow the law and you do it following the etiquette, because there's etiquettes of criticism, that's fine. You could criticize me. Otherwise, if we ban criticism, my dear friends, on a government scale, on a local scale, or at the mosque, or at the hawza, anywhere, on campuses, on college campuses, if we do not allow criticism, there will be dictatorship. Dictatorship will arise. No one could. This is what happened in Iraq during the days of Saddam Hussein. For 32 years, do you think anyone had the courage to criticize Saddam Hussein? Never. Never. If you dare to criticize him, you will not only be risking your life, but the life of your family members. There's a well-known scholar during the days of Saddam Hussein. Saddam was giving a speech. The scholar looked at his watch. All he did was look at his watch. He was put in acid. He was murdered in acid. To this degree, it creates, looking at your watch in front of a dictator, it will cause you to be killed and to be murdered. Oh, this is a problem. And my dear friends, even in hawza, we are welcoming of criticism, and we should be welcoming of criticism. If someone wants to criticize what we preach, what we teach, so be it. We are not afraid of criticism. In hawza, we do not feel insecure. We do not feel insecure. Those who are afraid of criticism, they feel insecure. When you feel insecure, when you're afraid of criticism. In hawza, we are not afraid. We have nothing to be afraid of. Come, read our books, read our textbooks, read our theories, read our views and opinions, and if you have something to say, say it, and we will refute it. If it's something positive, we accept. If it's something negative, we will refute it. We have nothing to be afraid of. There are some people, even in the hawza, unfortunately, they're very sensitive. No, don't raise your voice. Do not criticize. Do not object. Why? We have nothing to fear. In hawza, we are well established. We do not have insecurities regarding our beliefs, whether in fiqh and aqaid. We are well established. We have nothing to fear. Someone poses an objection, we will refute that an objection. We will refute that question. There's nothing to be worried about. My dear friends, even here in the West, when they speak of freedom of expression, freedom of press, freedom, but in reality, that freedom is limited. And it's limited. Full criticism is not allowed. Here in the United States of America, here in Europe, are you allowed to criticize certain groups? Certain groups, especially groups today that are trying to indoctrinate our children at school and teach them about gender. Little children, teaching them that it's up to you whether you'd like to be a boy or a girl, it's up to you. This movement, can we criticize them? Today they will crush you. They will crush you. Can you criticize certain individuals or certain political groups or certain lobbyists or even certain historical events, this event or that event. You can't. You can't. Even here in the West, how dare you criticize? They will crush you. They speak in the name of freedom of press, freedom of speech. No. Freedom of press and freedom of speech exists in Islam. Oh, and I say that with a full mouth, that in Islam, according to the true teachings of the Quran and Ahl Bayt, we believe in freedom of press. We believe in freedom of expression. You're allowed to say. And we do not feel insecure. We have nothing to be afraid of. Also, my dear friends, criticism requires moderation. Moderation. When you criticize someone, you don't have to be extreme. Point out the weaknesses and flaws in an argument, in a theory, and that's it. Don't go overboard. There are some, when they criticize a theory or a person, they make him to be shaitan. No, that person is not shaitan. And neither are you Jibreel. You have to be moderate in your criticism. Be moderate. You have an opinion to state, you're welcome. But say it moderately. Don't be harsh. Don't be aggressive. There are some, they view criticism as a conspiracy. If someone criticizes me or my thoughts, my opinions, my mosque, my school of thought, this person must be an agent. This is a foreign conspiracy. This person is an MI6 agent or a CIA agent. There's no other reason. Ajib. Anyone who disagrees with me is a Mossad, is a CIA agent, then God help my wife. If I want to disagree with my wife, am I going to call her a CIA agent every day? Or a Mossad? This is ridiculous. We have to be open to criticism. Not every criticism is a conspiracy theory. And there's a plot against us. Someone who criticizes maybe a theory, an idea, a view, this person has to be an agent. Why? Why? This is ridiculous. And we should not be intimidating. We should be open to criticism. Someone wants to criticize, ahlan wa sahlan. Yes, you may do so. I have a comment. Yes. I have an objection. Yes, you may do so. There are some, as soon as you criticize them or you critique them, whether it's their business or their administration or their leadership, you know what they say? Can you do better? Can you do better? Relax. Relax. Nothing has happened. Why are you so intimidating? For you to ask, can you do better? No. And yes, they can do better. Because you're not infallible. You are not sent from the sky. There are some that can do better. We need to be open to criticism. Recently, I saw a debate on YouTube with a prominent alim in Qom, Ayatollah Alawi Burujurdi. Ayatollah Alawi Burujurdi recently, maybe several months ago, a year ago, he made a claim. Now, whether this claim is right or it's wrong, that's besides the point. He made a claim that in Islam, we do not have an economic system. We do not have an economic system in Islam. This created an uproar. This created a controversy. Some said, how can the Sayyid say that in Islam we don't have an economic system? Then why did Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr write our economics, iqtisaduna, and so on and so forth? And there were some that defended him. Anyhow, whether he's right or wrong, that's left for another discussion. My point is, he was invited for a debate. He was invited for a debate by a lower-ranking alim. Sayyid al-Burujudi is a high-ranking scholar in Hawza. He was invited to a debate by a lower-ranking alim. He accepted. He sat with all humility, with all humbleness. He sat down as the lower-ranking alim was critiquing his view and was claiming that in Islam we do have an economic system. And the Sayyid, without getting angry, without getting upset, without saying, how dare you question my view or opinion or theory, no, he answered with full confidence, without feeling insecure, and with all humility. And I felt that this was a lesson to be learned from him. Maybe he could be wrong on the issue of Islamic economics, but on the humility that he posed in his debate, being open to critique, being open to constructive criticism, this was a lesson for me. And I think this is a lesson for anyone that wants to make a difference in people's lives. طيب. Unfortunately, there are some people, when they criticize, they have no akhlaq. They say it harshly. They say it very aggressively. Allah Azza wa Jal sends Musa and Harun to Fir'aun. Now Fir'aun claimed to be God. No, he claimed to be the God of gods. فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى فَقَالَ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. He claimed to be the God of gods. But when Allah sends Musa and Harun to Fir'aun, He says, فَاذْهَبَا إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ إِنَّهُ طَغَى فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Speak to him gently. Speak to him softly. Even to a dictator like Fir'aun, but speak to him gently. Speak to him softly. The Quran says, ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Call to the path of your Lord with wisdom. With wisdom. Not by aggression, not by speaking aggressively and name-calling, using foul words and naming words. No, this is unacceptable. And also, my dear friends, there are some people that are addicted to criticism. I'm sure you know people like this in your lives, in your business, in the mosque. Some people, they only criticize. They only criticize. Well, once in a while, praise. Once in a while, say the good things. Don't just mention the bad things. The Quran says, وَلَا تَنْسُوا النَّاسَ وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُم. When you see good in someone, say the good. The same way that you call out the bad, call out the good. You have to be fair. It is only fair. طيب. And also, my dear friends, criticizing an idea, criticizing an opinion, criticizing an administration, it doesn't mean rejection. When I criticize a theory, it doesn't mean I reject the theory. On the contrary, it means I want to fill in the gaps of that theory. This theory has shortcomings. I want to fill in the gaps. I want to enhance this theory. If I see the president of a mosque, I criticize his administration. It doesn't mean I want to be president. It doesn't mean I want to take his seat. Rather, it means I want to improve his leadership. I want him to improve as a president. I want to fill in the weaknesses and the gaps. This is what criticism means. And the best thing, my dear friends, is for us to criticize ourselves first. Before we wait for others to criticize us, let us criticize ourselves. The hadith says, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Judge yourself before others judge you. Let me criticize myself, critique myself as an individual. As a servant of Allah, how is my relationship with Allah? As a father, am I a good father? As a speaker, am I a good speaker? As the leader of an organization, can I do better? Can I improve? Let me criticize myself first. Let me be critical of myself first. Before I give room for others, let me criticize myself first. Let me critique myself first. And if you are in the habit of critiquing others, let us fix our intentions, my dear friends. Sometimes shaitan comes to us. When I am envious or jealous of someone, I come with the slogan of, no, I'm being critical of this person. But it is my envy. It is my jealousy that made me criticize this person. Let me fix my intention. Let me fix my niyyah. My niyyah should not be to put a person down due to my jealousy and envy, rather to improve this person's delivery so that I may help this person do more. Constructive criticism, my dear friends, requires good words. We choose our words wisely. Not harsh words, not aggressive words, but choosing our words wisely. Let me tell you the story. وَصَلَّى عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. They say a king saw in his dream that all of his teeth were broken except one. All of his teeth were broken except one. So he asked his ministers, who can explain to me, who can interpret to me this dream? So one of them, he said, your days are numbered. Your days are ending. You have only 1 or 2 days left. The king took this minister and he killed him. He called another minister. He told me, interpret this dream. I saw a dream that all of my teeth are broken except one. He told him, all of your family members are going to die and you will be the final one. He grabbed the minister and he killed him. He brought a third minister. This third minister, he was smart. He told him, I will tell you the interpretation of your dream. You will outlive all of your family members. You see the difference? You see the difference between, essentially it's the same. All of your family members will die and then you will die after. Essentially it's the same as saying you will outlive all of your family members. But the difference is in what? It's in the wording. The meaning is one, but the wording is different. When we criticize, let's be careful of our wordings. Let's choose our words carefully. Hence, we see Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam in the court of Yazid in Sham, when this young man, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, 17 years old, 18 years old, weak, ill, he's brought in the court of Yazid. Imam Zayn al-Abidin asks Yazid to give him permission to get on top of the minbar. Yazid refuses. He said no. They told him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Yazid, this is a young man. What does he have to say? Let's hear him. Let's hear him. He said, no. Do you know which family this person comes from? This person comes from a family that they seek knowledge when they're infants. Their infants are scholars and ulama. This made them even more interested in hearing Imam Zayn al-Abidin. They kept on insisting until Imam Zayn al-Abidin goes on the minbar. He begins to speak. What does he do? Does he bash Muawiyah and Yazid and curse them? No. He mentions who he is, who his father is, who his grandfather is. أنا ابن مكة ومنى. أنا ابن زمزم والصفا. I am the son of Mecca. I am the son of Mina. I am the son of Zamzam. I am the son of Safa. I am the son of Rasulullah. And then he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen. أنا ابن من هاجر الهجرتين وبايع البيعتين. I am the one who migrated twice and gave allegiance twice. أنا ابن صالح المؤمنين. I am the son of the most righteous of the mu'mineen. أنا ابن علي ibn Abi Talib. He mentions his fathers and his grandfathers, meaning what? Meaning ask about the father of Yazid. Who is the father of Yazid? Muawiyah. Who is the grandfather of Yazid? Abu Sufyan. And compare between my grandfather and his grandfather. Compare between my father and his father. Compare between my mother and his mother. My mother is Fatima, and his mother is Hind, the eater of livers. My mother is Khadija. Compare. Of course, he didn't mention his mother and his father and his grandfather. All he mentioned was his father, his mother, his grandfather. After mentioning Rasulullah, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and then when he wants to mention his father, how does he mention his father? أيها الناس أنا ابن المذبوح من القفا. I am the one who was slaughtered from the backside. أنا ابن مسلوب العمامة والردى. I am the son of the one who lost his turban. His turban fell in Karbala. أنا ابن من عياله إلى الشام تهدى. I am the one whom his women and children, they are taken captives to Sham. This is Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. It is days like this when the caravan of Imam Hussein alayhi salam has set towards Kufa. They're in the middle of the desert, women and children, and the heads are on the spears. The heads are on the spears. The head of Imam Hussein, the head of Abu al-Fadl Abbas, Ali al-Akbar, al-Qasim, and all of the companions. The head are on the spears. All of a sudden, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, Sayyidah Zainab, they noticed that the head of Imam Hussein, his eyes have been fixated at an area in the desert. The Imam is looking somewhere in the desert. Ya Aba Abdullah, what are you looking at? What are the eyes of Imam Hussein looking at? Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, let's do a head count. Let's count all of the women and children. They notice that one of the daughters of Imam Hussein is lost in the desert, and Imam Hussein has his eyes on his daughter. his orphan in the middle of the desert. And his head would speak. The head of Imam Hussein would speak and would recite Quran. أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا. The head of Imam Hussein would talk about the people of the cave and how the people of the cave, they were a miracle, they were miraculous. One of the soldiers, he would say, بل رأسك أعجب يا ابن رسول الله. Your head is a bigger miracle, O son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. When they reached Kufa, on the way, Imam Zain al-Abidin comes back to Karbala to bury the dead bodies. Imam Zain al-Abidin comes back. Bani al-Asad, they come, this tribe that lives close to Karbala, they come. They tell him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, let us help you bury these graves. Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, he said, I will bury my father by myself. They helped him bury all the other bodies. Imam Zain al-Abidin, he gathered what was remaining from the body of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that headless body, the body without a finger. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, he dug the grave for Imam Hussein. He entered the grave with his father. He put Imam Hussein on the sand. When he left the grave, when he removed the sand from his hands, Imam Zain al-Abidin started speaking to his father, Imam Hussein. Abatah, my dear father, amma dunya fa ba'daka mudlima. Life is dark without you. Dunya is dark without you, my father. وَأَمَّا الْآخِرَةَ فَبِنُورِ وَجْهِكَ مُشْرِقًا. As for Akhirah, it is glowing with your blessed face, my dear father, Aba Abdullah. One narration says that when Imam Zain al-Abidin was about to leave the grave of his father, he had just buried his father, he heard a voice from the grave, from his father, from that headless body, saying, my dear son Ali, ولدي علي وسد إلي رضيعي. My son Ali, bring me my infant and put him on my chest. Imam Zain al-Abidin brought that small child, the infant, and he put him in the grave of Imam Hussein, laying him on the chest of Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein wanted his infant to be very close to him. وَسِّدْ إِلَيَّ وَلَدِيَ الرَّضِيعِ. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العلي الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا خوفا إلا آمنته، ولا رزقا إلا بسطته، ولا شملا إلا جمعته، ولا مرضا إلا شفيته، ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.